The life of Miklos Horthy, a complex leader in turbulent times. Hungary in the 20th century was a nation marked by upheaval, loss, and fierce attempts at restoration. Throughout this tumultuous period, one man stood at the center of its efforts to reclaim sovereignty and pride, Miklos Horthy. As a military man turned regent, Horthy's story is one of resilience, controversy, and contradiction. Both celebrated and condemned, his legacy remains a deeply divisive chapter in Hungarian history. In this documentary, we explore the life of Miklos Horthy, his rise to power, his leadership during Hungary's turbulent years, and his ultimate fall from grace, seeking to unravel the complexities of his character and decisions. Born in 1868 in Kenderes, Hungary, Miklos Horthy was raised in a family deeply rooted in the traditions of Hungarian nobility. His upbringing instilled in him a strong sense of loyalty, duty, and perseverance, qualities that would define his later pursuits. Opting for a military career, Horthy enrolled in the Austro-Hungarian Naval Academy, embarking on a journey that saw him steadily rise through the ranks of the Austro-Hungarian Navy. Horthy's skills as a naval officer became evident during his early assignments, where his discipline and strategic acumen earned him the respect of his superiors. By the time World War I erupted, Captain Horthy had become a key figure in the Empire's naval operations. He commanded the battleship Novara, leading daring raids in the Adriatic Sea. His courage during combat cemented his reputation as a capable and fearless leader. However, the collapse of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy at the end of the war would bring his naval career to an abrupt end, pushing him into the political chaos unfolding in post-war Hungary. The Treaty of Trianon in 1920 left Hungary devastated, stripped of two-thirds of its territory and population. The discontent and instability that followed created a vacuum of leadership, and Hungary descended into chaos. First came the brief communist regime led by Bela Kun, which faced fierce resistance and ultimately collapsed. In the aftermath, Horthy emerged as a figure of stability and order, leading the National Army to restore control over the country. In 1920, Hungary's parliament declared Horthy the regent of the Kingdom of Hungary, making him the de facto head of state in a nation without a king. His appointment reflected Hungary's desire for a strong leader capable of navigating the post-Trianon crisis. Under Horthy, Hungary sought to rebuild both its economy and national identity, clinging to its pre-war glory while facing the harsh realities of its diminished status. Horthy's rule was defined by a blend of authoritarianism and conservatism, tempered with a focus on traditional Hungarian values. He worked to stabilize the country, introducing policies aimed at rebuilding its economy and infrastructure. Under his administration, Hungary saw some modernization efforts, including advances in industry and transportation. However, vast socio-economic inequalities persisted, especially in rural areas where much of the population remained impoverished. One of Horthy's chief policies was the pursuit of territorial revisionism. He sought to reverse the territorial losses of the Treaty of Trianon, aligning Hungary with nations that supported this vision. This desire for restoration would shape many of Horthy's political and diplomatic choices during his rule. During the interwar years, Hungary witnessed the rise of far-right parties and ideologies. These movements, fueled by nationalism and a resentment of Trianon, gained increasing traction within the country. While Horthy himself was not a fascist, he tolerated the growing influence of these groups, viewing them as necessary support for his revisionist ambitions. At the same time, anti-Semitic policies were introduced during his rule, such as the establishment of numerous clausus laws limiting Jewish enrollment in universities. These actions, though reflecting broader European trends at the time, laid the groundwork for more serious developments during World War II. Horthy's desire to restore Hungary's territorial sovereignty led him to align with Adolf Hitler and Germany during the 1930s. Germany supported Hungary's revisionist aims, allowing it to reclaim lost territories through diplomatic agreements such as the First and Second Vienna Awards. These gains were seen as triumphs for Horthy's administration, bolstering national pride. However, this alliance came with significant compromises. Germany's growing influence over Hungarian policy pushed the country further into the Axis orbit. While Horthy viewed the Germans as a necessary partner for achieving Hungary's goals, he remained wary of Hitler and resisted full subjugation to Nazi ideology. This tension would define much of Hungary's role in World War II. As part of the Axis powers, Hungary contributed troops to Germany's military campaigns, including the invasion of the Soviet Union. Domestically, anti-Semitic policies escalated, though Horthy initially resisted German demands for harsher measures against Jewish citizens. Under his rule, Hungary remained one of the last Axis-aligned countries to avoid the mass deportation of Jews. Horthy's stance faltered in 1944, when Germany occupied Hungary. Under intense pressure, he was forced to appoint a pro-German government, paving the way for the deportation of hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews to Nazi concentration camps. Though Horthy later claimed to have been powerless to stop these atrocities, his legacy has been deeply marred by his administration's complicity during this dark period. By 1944, Horthy recognized that Germany's defeat was imminent. In a last-ditch effort to prevent further destruction, he attempted to negotiate an armistice with the Allies. This move led to his arrest by German forces, who installed the puppet government of the Arrow Cross Party in his absence. Stripped of power and influence, Horthy lived through the remainder of the war as a prisoner of the Nazis. After the war, Horthy was released by Allied forces but chose to live in exile in Portugal. Although he avoided prosecution for war crimes, thanks in part to Allied recognition of his limited autonomy under Nazi occupation, his reputation remained controversial. He spent the final years of his life writing his memoirs, seeking to justify his actions and preserve his own version of events. Miklos Horthy's place in history is deeply contested. To some, he was a patriot and statesman who strove to protect Hungary's sovereignty in a time of unprecedented challenges. To others, he was an authoritarian leader whose compromises and decisions contributed to the suffering of countless people during World War II. These polarized views reflect the complexities of Horthy's rule and the era in which he governed. His efforts to restore Hungary's territory and dignity after Trianon remain a point of pride for many Hungarians. Meanwhile, his administration's anti-Semitic policies and his alliance with Germany have made him a focus of criticism both at home and abroad. For historians, Horthy's life serves as a case study in the moral and political dilemmas of leadership, highlighting the challenges of navigating national interests under the pressures of great power politics. The story of Miklos Horthy is one of ambition, resilience, and controversy. As a naval officer, he earned respect and recognition for his bravery. As a regent, he sought to defend Hungary's sovereignty and undo its post-Trianon losses. Yet his tenure was marked by compromises, moral dilemmas, and contentious policies that left a lasting impact on his nation and its people. This documentary has aimed to present a balanced account of Horthy's life, inviting viewers to grapple with the complexities of his legacy. Whether seen as a hero, a pragmatist, or a deeply flawed leader, Miklos Horthy's story is a reminder that history is rarely black and white. In understanding his life, we gain deeper insight into the challenges of leadership in times of profound uncertainty and upheaval.